Thank you all for joining us today. I know we all lead busy lives, especially being in travel, and your time is valuable. So really from all of us at Europe Express, thank you for joining us. Please note we are recording this webinar for educational purposes. After the presentation, we will add the recording to the Europe Express website located under the Resources tab in the header. So if you do get a phone call, don't worry, you can always rewatch this presentation at a later time. Also, if you have any questions anytime throughout the presentation, please type them in the GoToWebinar module and we will answer them at the end. If we run out of time, we will send you a follow-up email to your question within 24 to 48 business hours. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce the Vice President of Outside Sales and Partnerships, Mark Yacker. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm great, Danielle. Thanks a lot. Thank the rest of you for joining us today. That's me there on the left, not to be confused with Cristina Ferrero, our Managing Director of our European Operations Office, which is located in Barcelona. We're really lucky to have Cristina here with us today, and I want to thank you for joining us, Cristina.
Thank you, Mark, for having me here today in this webinar and to have the opportunity to share with all of you what is going on right now in Europe. Thank you and welcome.
Excellent, thanks. So having our own office in Europe is a huge benefit for so many reasons. Cristina's team is out there contracting most of our hotels, our transfers, our sightseeing and activities, and they regularly get out there to test the products and the services that we offer for you and your clients. Being based in Europe means that they're in the same time zone as your clients when they're traveling. So Cristina's team is a 24/7 support line for your clients if they ever need help while they're in destination. Also, throughout this pandemic, Cristina's team has worked tirelessly to maximize the refunds from our local suppliers for any of the clients that have been affected by suspensions thus far. Cristina and her team are also an amazing resource for keeping our US office updated with what's going on in Europe in real time. So I'm going to take you through most of this update, but I really thought it would be beneficial for all of us to have Cristina here to help answer some of your questions and also really to share her firsthand experience of what's happening on the ground in Europe. I also have put our website and our reservations contact details here on the slide in case you aren't able to stay with us until the end of the update today. So thank you all again, and thank you, Cristina, for joining us. So I want to start with just a quick reminder that at Europe Express, we take care of all of your needs for custom FIT and private group travel in Europe. We've been doing this for 30 years, and we have only worked exclusively with travel advisors. The big benefit for you is that we save you time and, of course, a ton of stress by giving you one preferred supplier to put together your full comprehensive custom itineraries. It doesn't matter what size or how complicated the itinerary is. As your specialists in Europe today, we're going to be sharing with you what we're seeing and what we're hearing about travel to and within Europe. So I had mentioned that Cristina's team is constantly monitoring information coming from government sources as well as from our partners and our local suppliers all across Europe. There are also several sources that we're monitoring here at home. And I put some of those, at least the most noteworthy ones, on the screen here for you. EU countries are reviewing policies every 2 weeks at the moment, so you may want to take a screenshot of this or note down these URLs so that you can stay informed. But don't worry, as Danielle mentioned earlier at the start of this, if you missed something, if you have to step away, we'll be emailing you a recording of today's presentation, and you'll also have access to it on our website. Our URL is the last one there at the bottom of the list. It's just europeexpress.com. While you're on the Europe Express website, you'll also see our policy updates, things like our frequently asked questions, and you'll have access to the different products and services that we can help you with. And on there, there's also a great collection of recorded trainings. And that's particularly helpful for those of you who want more details about things like our destinations, or how to use our online booking system, or a whole bunch of other topics. They're all there for you to view at your convenience. So as you likely know, European countries have recently opened their borders to other EU members and also a short list of other countries, but most still have not opened their borders to US citizens for leisure travel. And we had hoped that they would have by the time we were having this update, but nonetheless, we're going to take you through some of the key things that your clients can expect when they are able to travel again. We're going to particularly look at policies as they relate to each of our most popular countries in Europe. But to start with, before we get there, just kind of wanted to give you an overview of what we're seeing and hearing, particularly around land and air travel. So we'll start with land. And the countries that were most popular for us in normal times are still the ones that are drawing the most interest right now. Places like Italy, France, the UK, Greece, and Germany. And I'll talk to you about the other most popular countries on the next slide. We are certainly seeing an increased interest in private services rather than some of the shared services or group sightseeing that are sometimes popular. We're also seeing increased interest in getting out of the cities and exploring smaller towns and the more rural areas in these countries. And of course, heightened sanitary measures are in place all across Europe. Places like hotels and retail shops and restaurants, train stations, and all the public transportation. As for air, flights are still limited at the moment, but the airlines are anticipating increasing their capacity as soon as the borders begin to open up for leisure travel. All airlines have adopted increased cleaning protocols, and there are changes to a whole bunch of different aspects of the check-in process and the boarding processes and things like in-flight services. The information coming from the airlines is constantly changing. So rather than go into a lot of detail on that now, for more information, we've provided links to each airline's up-to-date protocols and their policy information at the bottom of our coronavirus update page on our website. And you can find that, there's a link right at the top of our homepage. So I mentioned that we're going to provide updates as they relate to our top destinations. These are the 16 most popular destinations that advisors book with Europe Express. And that's whether it's part of a single or a multi-country itinerary, even just one city, could be a custom group, or lots and lots of pre and post cruise itineraries. This is the first of what we hope will be several updates for you over the coming months. And we want to make sure that we're providing the information that you most want to hear. So on the screen, you have the topics that we're going to cover in this next section. And of course, we'll leave some time at the end to answer any of the questions that you have. Go ahead and type those into the chat box at any time throughout the presentation. And then at the end, please also let us know if there are any topics that we didn't hit today that you'd like us to include in future updates. So with that, we'll start with where Americans can actually travel. As of today, July 23rd, and as I mentioned, things are changing rapidly, but as of today, only Hungary and Croatia are allowing US citizens in for leisure travel. But that comes with some significant challenges. Hungary is requiring a 14-day mandatory quarantine for Americans. So I'm not sure how many would like to give up the first 14 days in quarantine before traveling or exploring. And Croatia requires proof of a negative COVID-19 test that was taken in the previous 48 hours before arrival. Take note that 48 hours is from the time the swab goes up the nose. So given that most tests in the US are taking longer than that to get results, this is going to make it very difficult for Americans to visit Croatia at this time. So we'll look at land borders. Most of the land borders are open, but there are some exceptions. Christina, do you want to tell us a little bit about the limitations with the countries where there are limitations?
Yeah, sure. At the moment, we have just a few countries that still have land border closed. Actually, we have just Hungary that has the border closed with Romania and Serbia, and then Croatia has the border closed with Serbia. and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then the last one is Denmark, that still have the border closed with Sweden. But except for that, there is no limitation crossing land borders, road or rail through the rest of Europe.
Excellent, thanks. As far as social distancing, all 16 of these countries are requiring social distancing out in public areas. That's indoors and outdoors, although the distance varies, as you can see here on the screen. And the next few slides that we're going to take you through will look at requirements around wearing masks. So the countries on the left here are the ones where masks are mandatory in shops and other indoor public spaces. There are a few extra notes here. So Christina, can you explain what's going on in Germany and Greece and Austria?
Yes, Germany has mask mandatory just if you cannot stay 5 feet from others, so if you cannot keep the social distancing. Greece has mask mandatory at the airport and on board of ferries. And Austria, well, actually Austria is changing in the last few days the regulation. So we expect to change in the coming days about the mandatory mask, but at the moment it's not mandatory yet. But as Mark said before, things are changing really, really quick, and we expect that Austria will apply the mask mandatory as well.
Okay, thanks. So in case of rail and public transportation, only Iceland is not requiring any special requirements on trains or public transport. All the others require masks when riding public transportation or riding on the trains. As I mentioned earlier, that all countries have social distancing requirements indoors and outdoors. But you can see here that there are also 3 countries that are requiring masks in outdoor public spaces. And Christina, since you're sitting in Spain right now, what can you tell us about masks in Spain?
Yeah, well, actually, more and more Spanish regions have made or are about to make face mask mandatory in all indoor and outdoor public spaces. Actually, I'm here in Barcelona at the moment, and local government here in Barcelona region was the first one. And then now it's mandatory almost everywhere in Spain, except for Canary Islands. And Madrid will probably make mask mandatory in the next hours. So just right now, government is taking a final decision today about the mask mandatory also outdoor.
Okay, again, constant change.
Yeah.
All right. Food. Food is such a big part of traveling, at least it is for me. And indoor dining is available in all countries, although outdoor dining is recommended over indoors. The capacity is being limited in the restaurants to create social distancing between tables, and bar and restaurant staff are required to wear masks at all times. As far as the museums, major museums and sites are open or in the process of opening right now. The countries on the left here have put capacity restrictions in place to help with social distancing. As far as transfers, Europe Express typically offers 3 types of transfers. We offer shared transfers, private, and as well as executive. Under the current circumstances, we are recommending private transfers. We'll continue to reevaluate that as advice changes and the situation changes. But for now, we're certainly recommending the private transfers. Please note that masks are required on all shared transfers, but are not required for private transfers, although they're still recommended. We would still recommend that you wear them, protect you and the transfer driver. There's also a requirement for masks in all taxis.
Yeah, and our drivers from our private transfers are wearing masks all the time, and they are following the cleaning protocols.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's really important to know.
Yeah, great point. As far as sightseeing and activities, in all countries they're applying social distancing, as we mentioned before, but the countries on the right here are also requiring masks. And I just want to point out that that in the Netherlands, masks are required on the canal boat cruises. And then I have a little bit of additional information here. Particularly in the UK, we're hearing that there are regional lockdowns when outbreaks occur. So you need to pay attention to what's going on in those countries at any given time as far as upticks in cases. And then for Croatia and Denmark, travelers from non-EU countries have to submit an online form before they arrive. And those forms can be found at the URLs that I've got here on the screen. In addition, Denmark is also requiring a 6-day minimum stay for people. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Christina, as far as policies and procedures out there?
Well, just want to add that hotels reopen with the new COVID measure and have a strict health and safety protocols to ensure health and safety security, and also to help to restore the confidence that maybe many have lost in the last month. So specific government health and safety guidelines have been drawn up for every sector of the tourism industry, not just hotels, but also transfer company, sizing. So we are always thinking that our supplier, our vendors are following the new safety protocols.
Great. Thank you very much. So I want to transition now to some of the things that we encourage you to discuss with your clients, right? Let's take a look at some of these things that you can help them to better prepare, right? Better prepare them for the time of travel. So starting off, destination policies and procedures, like I said, are changing so quickly. And it's really important to stay up to date and discuss these policies with your clients as part of the decision-making process. So we recommend that you and your clients stay informed before and also, very importantly, during travel. You can use those URLs that I provided earlier, and of course, your Europe Express reservation specialist is also here to help with questions. In the event that border policies change while your clients are en route or in destination, it's really important that you arrange a way to communicate with them, a way to stay in touch. Some of the popular ways to do that are with Skype, maybe Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, or of course a cell phone, as long as it works internationally. And you're probably aware most phone companies are now offering affordable international plans, or they have options that will just charge a flat rate daily, only on days where the phone was used. So I know I have AT&T, and I know that with AT&T, it's $10 a day if you use your phone. They do need to set this up before they travel. I'll also point out that the apps that I mentioned are free when phones are connected to the Wi-Fi. So now more than ever, it's important to be able to reach your clients while they're traveling. It's also really important to make sure that your clients are aware of Europe Express's emergency support number. The number will always be included in their travel documents, and it's a number that's available to them 24/7. Thanks again to Christina and her team. So clients should also be prepared for limited hours of operation or the possibility that reservations might be required at popular sightseeing venues and restaurants and things like that. For any services that are booked through Europe Express, you're going to be advised immediately of any closures or cancellations or changes. However, if there are museums or activities or something like that that your clients are interested in, but they aren't booking them through Europe Express for some reason, they should check the organization's website. They can look for hours of operations and any other possible restrictions. So travel in general, including air travel, has become really unpredictable. Like Christina said, air, rail, and car travel can be limited between some countries. At the moment, it's pretty wide open, but again, we don't know what changes will be coming on the horizon. So one of the things I want to ask you to do is please keep an eye out for emails from Europe Express just prior to and while your clients are traveling about any possible schedule changes, particularly around air. And this way we can quickly confirm changes to the schedule with the airlines. The key point here really is to prepare your clients for the potential travel disruptions or delays that they might occur. And please make sure that you ask them to pack their patience and their understanding. We're all working through uncharted waters here. In addition to the travel disruptions, clients should also be prepared for the possibility of extended stays. Right? This could easily happen if someone in their party is displaying symptoms of COVID-19 while they're traveling, and they may not be able to board a flight onward, whether it's to another destination or home. So advise them to pack things like additional medications, or at least bring their prescriptions in case they need to get more meds if they're delayed. They should also bring masks and face coverings, as we discussed earlier. They will be required at many businesses and sites, and of course on their flights, as well as any European trains they may be taking. And more than ever, we also highly recommend travel insurance. We partner with Allianz, but you're certainly free to sell any insurance that maybe is associated with your consortium or your agency. But we can connect you with Allianz to discuss different policy options. One thing I want to make sure that you're aware of is that not all companies' policies will provide cover if the client chooses to cancel because they're worried about COVID. But one of the most important things that you and they should check into is to make sure that the policy will cover them for medical expenses, the cost of any extended stays or cancellations due to contracting COVID-19. So if they do get sick while traveling, that those expenses would be covered. So given where things stand right now, again on July 23rd, Europe Express has suspended travel operations through August 15th. As we've said a few times, things are changing quickly. We're going to continue to monitor decisions being made by the EU countries, and we'll amend our policies appropriately in line with what's going on in Europe. Full details about your client's choices are emailed out to any advisors with affected bookings, and that's followed up by a phone call from our reservation staff to discuss the specific booking and the different options for you. Since the start of the pandemic, we've offered two options, future travel credits or a refund. When we look at the future travel credits, which is of course the most beneficial for all of us, we keep the client traveling, you ensure the future booking, and of course the future commission, and we're able to keep those clients traveling as well. The future travel credits are applied for the full value of any land payments that we have received from the client. So Europe Express will absorb any third-party fees and waive our change fees when the client is choosing a future travel credit. There's also a rebooking discount up to $1,000. It's applied at the time of the new booking, and it's based off the cost of the new booking. All of our FTCs are valid through the end of 2022. That's for travel starting on or before December 31st, 2022. So there's a ton of time. They don't have to make their decisions now. They're not being asked to rebook right now. They can hold on to that future travel credit, evaluate what's going on, see when they feel comfortable booking, and they can use that to any of our destinations. It doesn't have to be to their original destination. The other thing is it is 100% transferable. So we issue it in the name of the lead passenger, but if they are traveling with others and they're going to be traveling with different people the second time around, not a problem. If they are not going to be traveling, they can transfer that in writing to another client. Oh, and one other thing, actually, it's not here on the screen, is that if they do not use the full value of the future travel credit on their rebooking, they are able to use the remainder on another booking, as long as that other booking still departs on or before December 31st, 2022. As far as the refunds, if they for some reason choose or decide that the FTC is not going to work for them, we do offer a refund. There are, if there are any non-refundable third-party fees or cancellation fees, those will be applied to the refund. All right, so I also want to look at different ways to book with Europe Express. I know it says rebooking using your FTCs, but you can book anything with us, either with or without an FTC, using one of these 4 options. You can search and book products and services 24/7 on our online booking system. The system is super intuitive. It's really easy to use at your convenience. It's available to you 24 hours a day. So you have the ability to create the whole itinerary yourself, or you can just get things started online and then contact our reservation specialists for recommendations, maybe on areas that you're not so familiar with, or really for help with anything else that you need, or things that you don't maybe see in the system that you would like to add to the booking. It makes no difference to your commission or any other aspect of the booking, whether you make the whole booking online, you make some of the booking online, or you make none of it online. We want you to book the way that's best for you. One thing to note, though, is that if you are using an FTC and you make the booking online, you will need to contact our reservations team in order to apply your client's FTC for payment. You just need to provide the booking number, the original booking number, as well as the new booking number, and our reservation staff will apply the payment for you. So looking at number 2, another way to book is to fill out one of our online FIT or group custom quote request forms. Just need to enter the client's departure city, the places they'd like to visit, how long they want to stay in each place, and so on and so on and so on. Once you submit the form, you'll hear back from one of our Europe experts within 24 to 48 hours. For number 3, you may also just decide you want to email us. This is particularly good if your client has emailed you an itinerary that you can easily then just forward on to us. Make sure you include their desired travel dates, the destinations, any particular sites they want to see, and of course any other special interests or travel requests that they have. For numbers 2 and 3, please be as detailed as possible. This is going to help us make the right recommendations for your clients, and it will limit the amount of back and forth that's needed to get you the perfect quote as quickly as possible. And then for those of you who have lots of questions or just feel more comfortable speaking with someone, call us. Our reservation specialists are super knowledgeable. They're really well traveled, and they couldn't be more helpful. They really enjoy working with you guys to help get your clients out to have the best experience they can have. But again, we want you to book whatever way is best for you. So for more information or help with anything, your BDM should be your first call. Right? This is our amazing team of business development managers. They're in charge of addressing all of your Europe Express needs, answer your questions, schedule office visits, and that could be in person or virtually. We're doing a lot of calls now via Zoom or Teams. They provide training. They're there. They can help you to solve just about any issue that might arise. Their contact info, of course, is here on the screen, but it can also be found on the About Us tab of our website. And then one last thing to share with you before we move on to questions. Here's the contact information for our FIT and our groups department. Please note that right now our FIT department is temporarily closed on the weekends. That's due to the pandemic, but we will reopen on Saturdays and Sundays once travel to Europe picks up again. We hope that's sooner than later. So now I'm going to go back to this slide for you and put that up while we answer some of the questions that have come in so far. Oh, and please remember to submit any topics you feel that would add to these updates for the future. So with that, Danielle, do we have any questions?
Great, thank you, Mark. Yes, we do have quite a few questions, so we will try to get through as many as we can, but for those more specific ones, if it's regarding a certain reservation, we'll answer those offline. So we will send a follow-up email to you regarding those questions. Mark, the first question we have here is from Noli. She's wondering, how do you obtain a travel advisor login for Europe Express?
Great question. So if you go to the login page, there will be a link on there for you to register. One of the key things is that your agency has to have been registered before you are able to register. So if your agency is not registered, please go ahead and through that process first, and then you will be able to add yourself and any other advisors for the office in there to have your own login and your own password to access the full system.
Great, thank you.
If the agency is registered, it's quite an easy and quick process for you to add the agents, the advisors.
Perfect. Christina, I think this is a good question for you. Scott is wondering, have we heard anything about the Christmas markets in Europe, if those are still happening, or if there's going to be any limitations on those?
Not yet. There is not any official information regarding Christmas market, but for sure, if they are going to take place, social distancing would be absolutely one of the law that will be applied. Well, we'll see if there is any other restriction, but we didn't get any information yet about Christmas market.
Yeah, hopefully we hear about that soon, because they are some fantastic Christmas markets in Europe for sure. Another question for you, Christina, which this is always great news to see that there's interest for next year for travel. Belinda is wondering, I need a 4 to 5 day tour of the Normandy beaches and surroundings for next year. Is that something that Europe Express can do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that 4 or 5 days is a really good period because you have time enough to explore this beautiful area. And we have several packages or a product in that you can explore with us. So yes, definitely she can send an email or contact our reservation.
Fantastic. Mark, Jenny is wondering, if we book tours through Europe Express and an unexpected closure happens, will we let the travel advisor know of the closure?
Yes, when we have information of any of these closures that are impacting an itinerary, we would go ahead and notify the advisor of those changes and see if there's, we would make recommendations for an alternative for them.
Perfect. Another question for you, Mark. Linda is wondering, are you rebooking trips for next summer yet? I heard that this will begin soon.
Yes, we are now taking rebookings for next year. Just a little insight for you. We typically contract about 11 or 12 months out. This year, we've been able to push that further, realizing that we're seeing bookings, people who are interested in rebooking for next year. So initially, we did not have enough product contracted and loaded. That has now changed, and we are good through next summer, and in some cases through the end of next year. Most hotels are loaded. There are a few holes in some cities that we're still working on. Some of these properties and some of our partners in some of these cities are still just reopening themselves. But for the vast majority, we are ready to go. Give us a call, use the online system, however you want to do it, and we can start to put quotes together for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Scott is also wondering, will Europe Express be doing Europe Update webinars on a regular basis. This is
We-
all great information.
Oops, sorry. Thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful. We will. We're planning to do these the start of every month. I believe the next one is in 3 weeks. So we'll be doing them roughly every 3 to 4 weeks, more often if the situation requires it or would support it. And we'll start to, you'll see when you can get into our website, if you're registered, we'll start to list some of the upcoming webinars there, but we'll also be sending out emails just like you likely had an email about this update. You'll receive invitations for future updates.
Perfect, thank you. Barbara is wondering, does Europe Express pay a commission on travel insurance through Allianz?
We do not. We don't actually do the bookings for you. We do a soft handover, and so you will speak with those at Allianz to make the booking. So there is not an commission on insurance with Europe Express.
Perfect. And another question for you, Mark. Jimmy is wondering, do you have any business development managers for Canada?
Not at the moment. I will be your contact. I'm happy to help out for those of you in Canada. Some of my previous roles at different companies did have me supporting the Canadian market. But at this time, our BDMs are all situated and supporting the US market.
Fabulous. Linda is wondering, what is the option if a client cancels and you only have the deposit down? Can that deposit be used as a future credit without putting up the final payment, or how does that work?
It absolutely can. So we'll issue a future travel credit for the amount that we have collected. So whatever that amount we've collected is what we'll issue the future travel credit. If it's only deposit, that's fine. If it's full payment, that's what would be applied. And in addition, again, the rebooking discount would be applied based off the value of the new booking.
Go passing over to you, Christina. Elizabeth is wondering if we've heard anything about Oktoberfest, if that is still happening, or if we should plan for next year.
Well, unfortunately, Oktoberfest has been cancelled for 2020. So we'll have to wait for next year to join Oktoberfest again.
Great. Well, Passes, a lot of these questions are very specific, so we will answer them offline. I just want to say thank you to Mark and Christina for taking the time to walk us through Europe and all the policies today, and of course to all our fabulous travel advisors for joining us. We will be updating, or we'll be adding this recording to our webinars page on our website, so be sure to take a look at that, and that will be up on Tuesday.
All right, with that, I want to thank you guys all again. And these are certainly challenging times for all of us, but I want you to know that we're here for you, and we will continue to keep you updated as to when we can all start helping people experience all those wonders in Europe again.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon in Europe, hopefully. Europe is looking forward to welcome you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.